Hey guys, it is college football season coming up. August 31st is kind of the big day, a big week, and the big day for the games to be starting. Everybody's pretty much starting, at least the big name. Schools are starting their games on the 31st. There's a few other colleges that are starting a little bit earlier than that, but yeah, Alabama, Oregon State, Washington, Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, all these teams are starting 31st, I believe. So it is time to kind of look at a relook at the schedule. Um, so I'm going to start looking at Alabama. Alabama's got relatively a difficult schedule. It could be difficult. They play Tennessee, Alabama, Tennessee. That'll be a big game. Um, People are saying that Alabama, Wisconsin could be a big game. I think it's a good first test. Um, it is a 9 a.m. game. Whew. So that's very, very early. Um, but yeah, you got Alabama, Tennessee. That'll be exciting. Alabama, LSU will be very exciting. What will be interesting is seeing the Alabama Oklahoma game. That will be exciting. One of the new teams, Oklahoma, that's entered into the SEC. And then, Georgia. Looking at Georgia, Missouri. I think Missouri's going to have a big season this year, too. And always Auburn. Auburn's going to be interesting. One of the things that's very interesting is Alabama is playing Oklahoma, and then they're playing Auburn. So that will be very interesting to see how that plays out. Um, but yeah, there's been a lot of talk. About the wide receivers is kind of the big thing. Hearing from Alabama, uh, obviously they have Ryan Williams, kind of the top recruit for wide receivers for Alabama. But there is some buzz, quite a bit of buzz coming out for Caleb Odom. The guy is 6'5", 227, was a five-star tight end recruit, and they switched him to wide receiver. Now, am I surprised by this? No, not necessarily, because that is the style of Kalen DeBoer. So I think it's very interesting. I've heard a lot of good things coming out of summer practices about him being very fast, very good with his hands. So that will be very interesting to see how that plays out. So I'm excited for that. I do think, as far as for predictions, I think Alabama, it's kind of still a bit of a question mark. You really cannot know with a new coaching squad, a new team. Yes, there's Jalen Milroy, who is coming back, and he will definitely be the quarterback starter, and probably the quarterback of the year for Alabama. There's some guys returning, but there's been quite a bit of changes, surprisingly. Or, well, not surprisingly, but seems like a lot of other fans outside of Alabama have been somewhat surprised by that and been excited, thinking, maybe our team's got a chance against them. And I don't think it really matters. Alabama is a great program. Kalen DeBoer is a fantastic coach. I actually got to see his closest game next to the Michigan game, but that wasn't that close. But the closest game that Washington played last year was against Oregon State, uh, where they won because of a um, wet ball, so to say. It was raining, absolutely pouring, and I went to that game, and the Oregon State kicker could not grab the ball um, to kick it off. So there was a safety. He kicked it back into the end zone. So yeah, if that didn't happen, who knows? Maybe Oregon State would have won. Maybe it would have gone into overtime. Who knows? I don't think that would have happened. I think Washington would have won. But yeah, Washington had a great season last year, and Kalen DeBoer was the head coach. So I think Alabama's in good hands. Looking at Oregon State, how are my Beavers going to do? I think that it's safe to expect on the safe end could see one or two losses. I honestly think that. Um, I think that is a good safe bet. It's really that Oregon and Purdue, those are the top two teams or top two games to watch out for as far as for Oregon State. I do think, because we're only playing Utah, I do think the next game that's going to be interesting could be Washington State and Boise State. So this schedule actually looks pretty favorable, and I don't think I think if Oregon State is going to be ranked high, they have to be Oregon and or Purdue, and I think they can beat Purdue. That is going to be it's a good matchup. I'm going to go to that game. I'm also going to the Idaho State game. Um, I do want to go to that Oregon State game, but I can't really necessarily justify the ticket price right now. The prices have steadily gone down. I'm just gonna need to see their first couple games, and that's a question mark because we have a new coach. So it'll be interesting to see how things go. Um, do I think they're even say they have one or two losses and they somehow make it to the playoffs? Do I think they're going to go far? Probably not. But it would be great for the school and the program if they do make it to the playoffs. That would be pretty cool. Um, but yeah, I think one or two losses. I think during the regular season, if they are more than that, yeah, it means that there's more problems. So yeah, I think the schedule is pretty favorable for Oregon State. Going into Oregon, this is going to be much different. So Oregon plays Idaho, and then Boise State, then Oregon State, and then UCLA. So it kind of seems almost as if like a typical schedule. And then they play Michigan State, which Jonathan Smith moved to, Aiden Childs, quarterback that was an up and coming quarterback that I thought was actually really good. I didn't understand. There were times I thought he should have been brought in earlier, and when he went in, he did a very good job. He will be a quarterback at Michigan State, and I think Michigan State will be much better than they were previous years. Um, so that could be an exciting game. Another exciting game will be the Ohio State Oregon, and that is at Eugene. Um, I really want to go to that game. I don't know. Most likely, I'm probably not. but we'll see. And then Oregon plays Purdue. And then there's really not a game till Michigan, and then Wisconsin and Washington. So, and which also makes me question, boy, Wisconsin, you guys have some tough games to go to. So that'll be interesting to see how they do. It could be a long year for them. So those are kind of the teams that I'm looking at. I think going back to Alabama, I think there is 4 or 5 games that could be really, really, really good games that could be tough for Alabama. Oregon State, like I said, I think they should have maybe 2 games that'll be tough. Really nothing else. Oregon has one major game, but I would say that they have about 3 or 4 tough games in their season. With that being said, do I think Oregon will beat Michigan State? Yes. Do I think Oregon will beat Washington and Wisconsin and Michigan? I think they will, and this was my thought. I actually think Oregon is national championship bound this year. They look really, really, really good. It's very similar to Alabama, what's coming out from their preseason. In comparison to Alabama, it's very similar. There's a lot of hype, a lot of good things to look at. But with Oregon, they are good on the safeties. I think Alabama, that is their weak point. Their weak point is going to be the safeties. And it's unfortunate because Alabama's been in this position before with Nick Saban. There were some years that they really were not that great at safeties, and teams tried to pick them apart. But they played their own game, and they got pretty far. Did they win a national championship that year? No. I think for winning a national championship, you got to be well-rounded. So I think Michigan's going to fall off a little bit. I think that Ohio State they just can't win the big games. I'm not a fan of Ryan Day anymore. He's a fantastic coach, but it just seems like he just cannot get over that hurdle. Once he gets over that hurdle, and it might be the Ohio State-Oregon game, if he can get over that hurdle, I think he's got quite a few national championships in him. But he just has that hurdle to get over, and he just has not been able to for quite some time. I think Washington, it'll be a hyped up game. Do I think it's going to be much of a game? I honestly do not. I apologize to Husky fans. Washington they're in an interesting spot because they got grannied in probably from Oregon into the Big Ten. But it does not make that much sense for Washington in my book to be in the Big Ten, necessarily because they have a new coach, new team. I think this year and next year are the years to prove that they deserve to stay in the Big Ten. And I think 100% that if they don't prove it, what's going to happen? They could be in a pretty tough spot, rough spot of being towards the bottom of the Big Ten, which isn't good. I personally, I like Washington. I think the Huskies are cool. The fans are fantastic. Met quite a few fans at the game. Also, when I was at Disneyland, and they're super nice and they're super kind. Great fans there. Shout out to the Husky fans. I hope, I really do hope that Washington has a really good season this year. I don't know about the new head coach they got. And I also don't know, and this is the other issue, and this has been a theme at Washington, is if he does see success, is he going to leave as well? And I honestly think he will. The way he left Arizona, he, I don't think that the new head coach is a coach that's looking to stay at Washington, and that scares me for Washington fans. It's just, I don't know. Oregon, their coach has been pretty set on that he's gonna stay, which is good. I think Kalen DeBoer, I think he's gonna stay, and I also think Oregon State's head coach Trent Bray, he's gonna stay. I could he move? There is possibility if it's a good enough job, maybe. But I think he's to stay at Oregon State, which I'm stoked about because Oregon State had that issue continuously, and we thought Jonathan Smith would stay, and he did not. So, anyways, this is kind of just my update for college football. Just wanted to make this pretty quickly. So yeah, it should be interesting, exciting times. College football is starting soon. I'll see you guys in the next video. Let me know what you guys think and which teams you're excited about. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.